about.
A lot.
So I guess we'll go ahead. We'll start with kind of the bigger news of the teams that we love to talk about with the Grizzlies. I mean, I don't know if there's ever been as big a thing happen to the Grizzlies as far as luck goes, considering what they've been through in the lottery before. But them getting the second overall pick, man. Whew. I remember getting on Twitter. I wasn't even watching the lottery. I
Right.
wasn't even watching it. I was literally hanging out with one of my roommates, and I got on Twitter and I see everybody going, "Oh, Grizzlies in the top 4."
Mhm.
I can't even begin to describe my excitement when it popped up that they got the second overall pick. Like, for real, that's insane.
You know what's crazy is that I was actually trying to watch it. I was at my friend's house. I was trying to watch it on the ESPN app, the Watch ESPN app on the Xbox. And for
Yeah.
some reason, it said it was blacked out, which is crazy because we have ESPN. I was watching the game yesterday, so I know we have ESPN. So for some reason, it was tripping. But I went to, like I said, I was at my friend's house. I was like, forget it, I'm gonna illegal stream it. So I just put up a stream, and I was just like, well, let's see what happens. And then slowly the lottery started winding down. And I'm not gonna lie, dude, it was to the point, like I said, the Grizzlies got the second pick. It was to the point I didn't even care about the game that came on that night anyway.
No, didn't care at all, man. I swear.
Mhm.
And I remember pulling it up on my phone after seeing that tweet, and it was on commercial break. So I was like, okay, good. So hopefully I haven't missed anything. And it comes back and it's got the 4 teams that are left. It's got the Lakers, the Knicks, us, and the Pelicans. And so I'm just sitting here thinking, like, how insane would it be how insane is it, one, that we're in the top 4? Like, worst case scenario, we're getting someone like a DeAndre Hunter, a Jarrett Culver.
Right.
If you're our buddy Alex, Darius Garland, like, I
You do.
mean, that's still my hot take of the draft is that is one player I'm not sold on Darius Garland at all. Like, I hope he is a good player, but in the top 10, I'm not sold on him with the injury history. I'm really
Yeah, I
not.
think the
So
injury sort of hurts it for me. And like I said, I think if healthy and if he had played, he probably could have moved his way into a top 5 pick. But I just
yeah,
think that injury kind of hurt him. As
yeah,
far as my opinion, like I said, I'm a huge supporter of his, but I think
yeah.
that honestly just hurts me, to hear that he had an injury like that.
Agreed. And so, you're sitting there thinking that's your worst case scenario, getting a guy like that or getting like a Cam Reddish or someone. That's your worst case scenario. And then, so, the Lakers land at number 4, and you're like, holy cow. So our worst case scenario is we land one of Ja Morant or RJ Barrett, likely RJ Barrett. And I'm like, that's insane to think because he was the number 1 player in the class, in the recruiting class last year. Like, a lot of people forget that Zion is as highly touted as he was. RJ Barrett was the number 1 player in that class. Like,
Yeah,
it's crazy to sit
yeah,
there and think, like, holy cow, like, our worst case scenario is we're going to get RJ Barrett. And then the Knicks get number 3, and you're like, holy cow, we have a chance we could get Zion Williamson. And, obviously it plays out. The Grizzlies get the number 2 pick instead of number 1. So the Pelicans
right.
are going to get Zion. But you're sitting there thinking, holy cow, we're going to get Ja Morant. We're going to get this explosive young point guard who's being touted as, Russell Westbrook, but, potentially more upside. And you're like, this is insane to think how at the start of the day, the Grizzlies' plan was to hopefully convey the pick, and now you've got a chance to land your next franchise point guard after Mike Conley.
Right.
And I don't think any Memphians could have ever predicted what unfolded in that lottery. Like, Darius, that was truly unbelievable. I remember watching it. It was truly unbelievable.
Yeah, like I said, I've seen literally the whole excuse me, the whole like draft like just pan out. And I don't know, I like the screen scrolls. But anywho, let's see. Okay, there you go. That's weird. But anywho, like I said, literally, like I said, you can land literally your Mike Conley successor. And I sort of hate to be the bearer of bad news for Grizzlies fans, but it's coming to the point where yeah, Conley's getting old, but technically he's still in his prime. Like he's still putting up great numbers.
Easily.
Like he dropped the career high this year. So it's like I said, it's coming to the point where it's just like, man, I hate that Conley's gonna have to go, but at some point you got to move on. Like I said, the grit and grind era, unfortunately, has lost its way. But like I said, I'm all for Ja Morant at number 2. like I said, watching the top 3 unfold and seeing New York get third, and I was like, there's no way we have a shot at Zion. I was like, there's no way. When did we even get to number 2?
I swear, man. And, I will say, and for those Grizzlies fans that were skeptical and that still are skeptical, I completely understand and completely get it.
Right.
Because everybody remembers what happened the last time the Grizzlies got the 2nd overall pick. It's one of, if not the worst draft pick of all time, in Hasheem Thabeet. And if you haven't seen Chris Vernon's Tuesdays with Tony, where he's got Tony Allen on his show and he talks about Hasheem Thabeet and the moment he found out Hasheem was not going to be a good NBA player, I highly suggest you go back and look at that because it's hysterical. It really is. He talks about, NBA players, they have a certain amount of time they can go out for shoot around and stuff like that and how it's optional.
Right.
And he talk about how, a lot of times players will eat, an hour and a half, 2 hours before a game to let the food digest. Well, there were times, Tony Allen said, where Hasheem Thabeet with 30 minutes to go till game time would be at shoot around eating a hot dog and popcorn. And it's dude, you're 7'3". That food is not going to get through your digestive system in 30 minutes. And so it was funny because, Tony Allen and Tony, like I said, I highly suggest anyone that hasn't seen any of that, go check it out on Grind City Media because it's a really, really interesting series they've got for that. But the skepticism is there. I think rightfully so because, you look at that number 2 pick, you could have had James Harden, you could have had Steph Curry, you could have even had someone like Tyreek Evans or Brandon Jennings, that in their prime, they were good young players. So I get the skepticism. With that being said, the Grizzlies are doing the right thing in saying they're going to take Ja Morant. They are going to take him.
That's the right move.
That's the right move. I will say this. If they were completely giving us this red herring treatment, they were catfishing us, if they were to go into draft night and pick R.J. Barrett, I'd be okay with it too, though. I think that with those 2 players, I will go on record now, and if it bites me in the ass saying this, it bites me in the ass. I think on those top 3, on Zion, on Ja, and on RJ, I think that those are 3 can't-miss prospects right there. I think they end up at the very least. Zion and Ja and RJ could very well each be franchise players in the league. I think at the very least, they're productive starting players for their career. At the very least. I think they are each going to probably be all-stars, though, at some point. They are each going to be all-stars.
No doubt.
So I just think that, there's, with all the uncertainty that was, are you going to trade Mike Conley? Are you going to bring back Jonas Valanciunas? Are you going to bring back DeLon Wright? Who are you going to hire to coach this team? And all of that, to get the number 2 pick, that makes this job with the Grizzlies so much more enticing now that you're going to have Jaren Jackson and Ja Morant in all likelihood to pair together. We talked about before we got on here, dude, that's an insane pick-and-roll combo right there.
Dude, literally, Zach, I said, they can literally throw pick and rolls to each other. It's not even that Ja can throw pick and rolls to Jaren. Jaren can throw pick and rolls to Ja, which sounds crazy. But still, just because of his athletic ability, it's sort of unheard of for someone who's a point guard of his size. When you have comparisons of a Russell Westbrook, he can go up there and get that ball and sling it.
Yeah. And I think with Ja, the biggest thing, if he can add some weight, because obviously he is a little small right now. He's 170 pounds at 6'3". He's a little small. But if he can add some muscle, the sky really is the limit. Because this is a kid that can get to the basket on anybody. He's not afraid to cram on anybody. He's really not. And his three-point shot improved throughout the year at Murray State. So I think that there's definitely a lot of promise and a lot of upside to his game. And it's the same with R.J. Barrett. R.J. Barrett as a prospect really, really, really got better this year. I think the Zion Williamson injury really helped his draft stock because it allowed him to show people, look, you put the ball in my hands, I can still make things happen. I was the number 1 player in this class for a reason. His three-point shot improved. I think the biggest thing with RJ, his decision-making really got better as the year wore on. He really, because they were early on, especially in the Gonzaga game that they played, he really struggled with turnovers and bad shots late in that game. And later in the year, he wasn't making those same mistakes. So I think R.J. Barrett is just as talented a prospect as Ja Morant is at this point. I like them both. I lean towards Ja Morant because I think that's your point guard. Him and Jaren Jackson for the next 10 years in Memphis, that is going to be a fun tandem to watch. And this Grizzlies team next year, when like they have money after Chandler Parsons and probably Mike Conley, when their money comes off the books, they're going to have some money to play with. They've got 2 young studs that they could potentially convince a bigger player to come play Memphis. Now, how likely is that? Probably not. But
yeah, of course.
But it's the fact that you have this young talent that you can go to a player and be like, hey, we really think we got something here. We're just maybe one piece away from being really, really, really competitive and maybe even being contenders. That can end up being a big deal going forward. So I think Ja Morant with the Grizzlies, I told you this, the moment he has his number assigned for the Grizzlies, whether it's him or RJ Barrett, the moment they have their number assigned, I'm buying a jersey. I have to. I mean, you can see the jersey collection behind me. I'm buying a jersey for sure, though.
Yeah, you're going to have to buy a jersey because I ain't gonna lie, I think I might too. But yeah, just to go to the point, like, what's crazy is like a lot of people, even like out of high school, which sounds crazy, people were saying literally the next year that RJ probably looks like the most NBA ready, like player between like him and Zion. So that's something that I've always thought was interesting, is that, you know, people held him to such high regard, even coming out of high school. You know, that just speaks to how good of a player he is. But I like to he'll probably be going to number 3, which makes me laugh because Stephen A. Smith's videos are what's making me like sort of cheese right now, because that's all I'm thinking of.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something right now, man. I do not feel bad because like I saw this on social media a lot. Let me tell you why I don't feel bad for the New York Knicks.
Right? I don't feel bad for him at all. I don't have one lick of sympathy for them.
Let me tell you why I don't feel bad for them right now. And it's not because David Fizdale is the coach, because I love David Fizdale. It's not because of that. It's not because they beat the Grizzlies a couple times this year. It's not because of that. It's because even with the 3rd pick, they missed out on Zion. Boo freaking who. Here's the thing. You're still going to get RJ Barrett or Ja Morant. You're going to get the one that the Grizzlies don't pick. You still also have a really, really, really realistic chance that next year you have both Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant suiting up for you. I don't feel bad for you. I really don't. Like, I wish I could know what it's like to bitch and moan about my teams when they've got a chance to sign 2 superstars and potentially draft another. Like,
just because you play in a market like New York.
I wish I could complain about the Grizzlies like that. Instead, we complain about how the refs don't ever give us a fair shake, which they don't. We complain about the front office making bad decisions, which they do. We complain about the fact that we signed a guy to be a franchise player, and guess what? He's not even a good role player. Like, as much as I love Chandler Parsons as a person, he's not even a good role player. Like, he played better this year, but like, I wish I could complain about my teams like that and them have that chance. Like, come on, man. Like,
exactly. And one thing I hate about that too is that literally like the Knicks have like such historic and like rooted like history, which is just like we've just been alone. We come from freaking Canada, bro. Like, we don't have any championships or nothing. So you give us celebrate. Go celebrate with all your rings that you probably got from.
I swear, man, like they complain so much,
and they landed Carmelo Anthony in free agency too.
It's like you literally
we can't never land a Carmelo type person.
You got 2 max slots, dude. We're lucky if a player even gives us a visit. Like we're lucky if a player even comes and freaking has a meeting with the front office and the coach. We don't even have a coach yet. Like for real. Like I don't know. I have said that I don't understand how any New York fan can complain, because you're still going to get a franchise player in RJ Barrett. You're going to land probably Kevin Durant. You're probably going to land Kyrie Irving. Like, I can't feel bad for you. I really can't. But man, like, if we're talking about Grizzlies like news besides Ja Morant, I mean, the one thing that getting the number 2 pick did probably confirm, it's probably very likely that Mike Conley is not in a Grizzlies uniform next year. And honestly, there's a part of me that as long as we send him to a team where he can compete and it's not in the West, unless it's for the right deal,
right?
I'm okay with it. Like, I'm okay with it. Like, I think one deal we saw discussed on Bleacher Report that I would 100% make if I was the Grizzlies was just sending Mike Conley to the Celtics for Gordon Hayward and getting the Grizzlies 2020 pick back. I would take that because it gives Mike a chance to compete, which I love Mike Conley. He's one of my favorite Grizzlies. He's an easy player to root for. Like, we both know that. Easy player to root for. And it gives the Grizzlies a good answer for a wing player in Gordon Hayward. I think Gordon Hayward, when he's not forced to be the number one option and there's not all that expectation on him, I think he plays more relaxed and he's better. Like, he had a pretty solid year. He averaged what? Didn't he average like 17 points a game for the Celtics this year? Like, he had a good year, I want to say.
Who was he talking about?
The Gordon Hayward. But the
off the bench.
But the bigger thing was that you get your 2020 pick back, and you don't know, man. Like, that could turn into somebody like Precious Ashua. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm probably not. It could turn into him. It could turn into James Wiseman, Cole Anthony. Like, you don't know who that could turn into. And just like that, like, your rebuild is expedited big time. So I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of reason to be kind of happy I'd be okay with getting that pick back. If you're the Grizzlies, you don't need a treasure trove of picks to make a Mike Conley trade worth it. You just need to get a first-round pick back that is worth it. Not the Spurs' 29th overall pick, like in another deal we saw with like 4 throw-ins of players that probably won't even suit up for the Grizzlies. Like,
right.
So,
but yeah, I remember I told you earlier. I found that not article, but it's like the possible trade scenarios. Like, I could read some of them off. I think it's only 4. I mean, 3. My bad. So it's gonna be fairly easy. Jazz. It was with Utah. The Jazz get Mike Conley. In return, they get Derek Favors, Grayson Allen, and the 23rd overall pick.
Which ain't bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. The Celtics one, which is the Mike Conley, you get and the pick in Gordon Hayward. It says and 24th overall pick, the 22nd and 24th.
Which I would be okay with that. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I would be too. This one is interesting because this one, I think I may be. No, never mind. I think I'm wrong. This one involves the Heat and the Grizzlies throwing Mike Conley and the second round pick, which I don't know why, but they get Goran Dragic and Bam Adebayo and the 13th overall pick.
Which ain't bad either. Like, I would take a trade like that. Bam Adebayo is a good young player. I'd be okay with that. Gives you a point guard that could mentor Ja. Like, I mean, I'd be okay with that. Like, you have to understand, like, any players, because I'm looking at comments now, basically, any players the Grizzlies getting into these trades are not players that are long-term going to be here for the rebuild. They're not. Right. Like, the Grizzlies in any Mike Conley trade, whether it is for, unless it's a young player like Bam Adebayo or Bruce Brown, I know that was another one I saw possibly from the Pistons. Unless it is a younger player that you think you can help build, like, put around Ja and Jaren or whoever I don't feel like Goran Dragic is going to be there long term. I don't feel like Gordon Hayward would be there long term. Like, they're going to be there. They're going to be there for next year, if that. And that's really kind of just to help the Grizzlies, like, be somewhat competitive. Like, I mean, next year, if I was the Grizzlies, I would trade Mike Conley for the best deal. I'd give Ja the keys. I'd tell Jaren, look, we're going to run this offense through you. We want you to be one of our we want you and Ja to be the main options on offense. And I think you give them the keys to the car, and I think you let them make their mistakes, and you let them run this team. Because at the end of the day, by putting off a rebuild, you're not going to help the rebuild. It's going to just stunt the rebuild. So, I don't know. I look at it as any trade the Grizzlies make, it is not necessarily for the players that they get back. It's for the picks and the draft capital they would get back. So, I think if you can land 2 first-round picks, great. Go for it. But if you can only get 1 pick and, like, maybe a good player that can help you next year, take it. Like, if that's the best deal available, take it. Like, it is what it is. Like, you can't get too picky about a 31-year-old point guard who, albeit, is playing some of the best basketball of his career. You can't get too picky about it. That's exactly what happened at the deadline last year. Mm-hmm. So, can't get too picky. So, if that means you send him to the Pistons, because I know another deal I saw was sending him to the Pistons for Reggie Jackson, John Lure, Bruce Brown, and the 15th pick. And that's the best deal you get. That's the best deal you get. Just go with it.
I wouldn't be mad at that at all.
Like, Bruce Brown, I think he could be a good young shooting guard. I think he'd be a good defender in this league. I think that Reggie Jackson is a good veteran point guard that he can learn from. I don't think Reggie Jackson's like that good of a point guard in general, but
yeah, he won't be here long term either.
He's not your long term fix though. Ja is. So it's like, again, I think when you're looking at these trades for the Grizzlies, you have to understand that these are trades that are for picks. They're not for players. Like, if we do get Gordon Hayward is not going to be in Memphis past 2019, 2020. Like when the 2020-2021 season starts, Gordon Hayward will not be in Memphis. He wouldn't be. Like if he is, then the front office is freaking stupid. But
granted.
I mean, it would fall in line with some of the other moves they've made. It would fall in line 100% with some of the other moves they've made. But especially with Jaren being named the first team All-Rookie today, second overall pick on 2 prospects, you probably can't miss on either of them. The future's bright for Grizzlies basketball. It's bright. Like I as a Grizzlies fan am a million times more confident in this team's direction than I was maybe 2 weeks ago. And remember, they still haven't even hired a head coach yet. And I think that Alex Jensen would be a good fit. I think Jaron Collins would be a good fit. I would love to have had I can't pronounce his last name, but I would have loved to have had Sarunas Jaskiewicz, I think was his last name, something like that. I can't really. I'm illiterate. I can't really pronounce it. But I think that there's good candidates out there. I think that Alex Jensen is probably the guy I would hire right now because I like him coming from Quinn Snyder. I think Quinn Snyder's a great coach. That's who I'd probably hire now. But, I mean, as long as you make the right hire there and you hire someone who's willing to play your young players, I mean, the future's bright.
Yeah, and you know, I said it earlier is like I said, yeah, Quinn Snyder is one of the greats out there. And like I said, one thing about the Jazz organization, you know, that I did say earlier is that you know they do have a great history of developing young talent.
Yeah, they do. I mean, you just look at Donovan Mitchell, man. Nobody thought he was going to be as good as he is now this early. He's as good as he is right now because he's been given the rope and given the leash to develop, and that's the big thing. And it's helped him. So
with the young team like the Grizzlies too, I think that's something that they should look forward to.
100%, yes. I mean, if we're going to keep talking about Memphis basketball, I think it's impossible to not mention the freaking work that Penny Hardaway is putting in on the recruiting trail right now. That's insane. Like,
it is insane.
I remember last year. I remember Memphis fans being excited about Alex Lomax, Tyler Harris, and even Malcolm Dandridge when he's this year's class, but he committed. He's a 4-star power forward. I remember everybody got excited about that, and I was like, I look back on it, I'm like, dude, Memphis fans really had no idea. Like, we really had no idea.
Oh, a bombshell is coming.
What was about to happen, man? We didn't know that Penny was just going to smoke everybody on the recruiting trail.
Man, he's building.
Like, his name was like, holy shit. Like, James Wiseman was one thing. Like, you got the best player in the class. Excellent job. Excellent work there. But then you followed it up by getting a guy that you really could have used this year in Lester Quinones, who can shoot the lights out of the ball. Mm-hmm. You got Damian Ball and Boogie Ellis, who, that's a pretty solid 1-2 combo at point guard. That's a pretty solid combo there. And then you haven't even factored in yet that you landed Precious, and then you landed Rajon Tucker. And although Rajon Tucker might not even be with the team next year because he looks like he might be entering the NBA draft, you still also have a chance to land RJ Hampton. Like, this is insane to look at, to think, like, what Penny has done in such a short amount of time. I said it last year, Darius, and I'll say it again. Memphis fans weren't and shouldn't be necessarily a ton excited for year 1 of Penny. Year 2 is what they should have been looking forward to, and now they've been given reason to.
Exactly. And it's just going to keep on, like, going up. Like, I would say this with the 6 viewers that we have according to my phone.
Dang, not bad.
I know that's
one of the most viewed ones we ever had. Shout out to y'all.
Shout out to y'all. With the 6 of y'all watching or whoever shared it or whatever, I hopped on the Memphis bandwagon last year. Please hop on it this year if you're going to hop on any sports team's bandwagon. Please be either Memphis Tiger football or basketball, because goodness gracious, they're going nowhere but up this year. Literally.
They are, man. Like, that's the crazy thing is that everybody's forgetting about the football team. Like,
oh yeah, and they're literally one game away each year from literally winning the conference title.
They for real, like, that football team, they've balled out the last few years, and if they can get consistent quarterback play, they're going to be pretty solid. You already know if that defense could just shore up a little bit, because obviously they're prone to giving up a lot of points. To teams that have more high-powered offenses. And the good news is Memphis at least has an offense that when it's rolling, it can go back and forth with a team. If that defense gets just a little bit tighter, that is a scary team to play. That is a scary team. Because we already know how good TJ Carter is. We already know how good he is. We already know how good that defensive line can be because it applied a lot of pressure last year. If you could just get the rest of that secondary to just focus a little bit harder and to tighten up just a little bit, you're talking about a team that is going to be scary to play, for real. That is a terrifying team to play.
Exactly. So everything looks good for the U of M, and I'm actually excited, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I said, definitely for oh gosh, basketball season is gonna be so crazy.
Like, I can't wait for the first Memphis Tennessee game next year. I might have to go to that game. Like, I might have to.
Is it gonna be at Memphis?
I don't know if it is, but even if it's in Knoxville, dude, like I might have to get the required off days to I might have to get the required off days to go to that game, dude. Like that's gonna be insane. Like where either team.
I'll definitely stay the night at your house or something.
Oh, dude, if it's Memphis, dude, I've got to be there. Like that's insane. Like
it's gonna be so loud.
That might be one of the craziest atmospheres we ever see as sports fans. We've seen some crazy ones, man. We've been to Predators games. We've seen some crazy ones. Like
they're pretty crazy.
Oh, it's insane. But now let's transition, Darius. We're gonna talk about a sport we never talk about on here.
Of course.
we never talk baseball on here. We never do. And that's just because a lot of that's just because it's kind of more fun to talk basketball. It's more fun to talk football. It's even more fun to talk about hockey, just if we're being honest.
Yeah.
But despite the fact that, you're a Braves fan, I'm a Royals fan, if you couldn't guess. Both of our teams are in such different places right now. Like y'all are very much alive in the playoff race in the National League. Mm-hmm. We're not. We're 16-31. We had a very, very bad first 2-3 weeks of the season, and it is haunting us big time. But upon looking at both teams, man, there's it's crazy how similar they both are in the sense of both have had bullpen issues, both have had starting pitcher issues, and both have got young players that their fan bases should be really excited about right now. And I guess we'll start with saying, if there is one player right now, even though I know who you're going to say, if there is one player right now that is, still within his first year or two of being in the league right now, what player on the Braves excites you the most right now?
And well, yeah, we talked about it earlier, and it came down to two, but I think since we literally alluded to it earlier, I think you can't talk young players on the Braves and not talk about Austin Riley. I just don't think I don't think you can. His first hit was literally his first MLB hit was a home run, and it was his second at bat. I think his first one I don't know if he probably struck out or he just I did too much or something like that. Kid out of Tennessee, Memphis. So I'm gonna give you credit there.
DeSoto Central High School graduate.
Yeah, so I got a little. That's anybody from the state I represent. But dude, I've been excited with his play so far, and then come back in his second game, he extends the Braves lead by sending Nick Markakis home with a home run too. So dude, his couple of games, he's been killing it.
Yeah. That's one of those where I hope the Braves make the decision like they did with Ronald Acuna last year, who, again, is having another excellent year so far this year. I hope they make the decision to leave him up for the rest of the year. I hope they don't send him back down at any point.
Because they don't need to.
I remember I watched the first game Austin Riley played in because I was curious about this kid. I was like, a lot of big-time power prospects in baseball, it goes one of two ways. They either have a lot of success or they struggle. Look at Joey Gallo with the Texas Rangers. He is finally beginning to figure out how to hit in this league without striking out every time, but he still strikes out a lot, and his batting average still isn't great. He's been in the league now for a few years. He's had a chance. Austin Riley, though, looks like the real deal. He looks like a kid. I think he and Acuna and Ozzie Albies, the core of that team, and we haven't even talked about pitching yet, the core of that team is set. They have got three excellent young players in their lineup right there, and all of that to talk about, and we still haven't mentioned Freddie Freeman. You still haven't mentioned Freddie Freeman, who arguably, when he's hot, is the best hitter on that team. So it is insane to me looking at where that team was probably 4 years ago. Seeing where they struggled, seeing where they were at 4 years ago, and seeing where they're at now. Man, there's a lot to be excited about with that team. And again, we haven't even mentioned the rotation yet or any of the pitchers. Sean Newcomb seems like he's really settled into a bullpen role really, really well. Mike Foltynewicz is as good as is struggling a little bit, but that he's going to turn that around.
Yeah, because I think he started out 0-3 so far.
Yeah, but I think one pitcher to keep an eye on also for y'all is Mike Soroka. I really like him. I think he's a kid that we're going to look up yet here in a few months, and he's could be a borderline all-star. So we don't know. I mean, that might be a bold prediction.
Bold prediction, but
I
you
think
never know.
that's somebody that either this year or beginning next year we're going to look at and say he might make the all-star team. So I mean, they got a lot of good young players. I know you're excited as a Braves fan for that.
Oh yeah, of course. And like you said, we ain't talked about Ronald Acuna yet, and he was literally like the last year. He was like, as far as young players, he was literally the star last year, and rightfully so. But he still continued to play well this year, which is something that we've all been looking forward to, definitely as Braves fans. But yeah, and I think I look according to ESPN, I've got a couple stats. So even Acuna, he has like 51 hits and 31 runs. So I was just like, that's good God. It's not the same as like, oh, every time he hits, he runs, but it's getting close to it. And he's batting at, I think, 291, which
is good.
greatly close to 300, which is where you want everybody to be. But yeah, definitely for his second year, he's definitely exceeding expectations. I couldn't be more happy of a young guy and down in Atlanta.
He hadn't hit that sophomore slump yet. That's the biggest key. Is he's found a way to avoid that sophomore slump, and a lot of players don't do that. I guess the good news. I mean, if there is any good news for the Royals, I mean, the season kind of is what it is at this point. I remember saying before the season started that if I had to pick my team MVP, it would be shortstop Adalberto Mondesi. And I sat here thinking, this is a kid that has the look of an all-star. You see him out there on the field, he's an excellent fielding shortstop, excellent defensively. He's only made, I want to say he's only made like maybe 1 or 2 errors this year so far. Excellent defensive shortstop. And last year in 75 games, you really got a chance to finally see what he can do at the plate. You know, he finished, I want to say, top 5 in the league in stolen bases, and he only played in 75 games. So imagine what he can do in 162 games versus 75. And I remember saying that on opening day, this is my team MVP right here. This would be my all-star pick as far as who the Royal that will make the all-stream. It'd be him. He has made me look very, very smart with that pick so far. In the sense of so far this year, he is hitting a solid 280, which isn't like amazing, but it's very, very solid. But the key is he's already driven in 37 runs and he's stolen 17 bases with 5 homers. So Mondesi is that he's that weird mix of he's got a lot of speed with 17 stolen bases. He's leading the league in stolen bases, and he's like 4th in the AL in RBIs. But he's also got some pop in his bat. Like right now, he is on pace for 20-something home runs, 130 RBIs, 50-something stolen bases. And this is the crazy part. He is on pace right now for 23 triples.
Goodness gracious.
That is a lot of triples.
Like
he leads the league with 6 triples. The Royals, he is tied for the league in triples. You know who's tied with him?
Who?
Teammate Whit Merrifield. They are both tied for the league lead in triples. A teammate of his, Whit Merrifield, they both have 6 triples. The Royals as a team have more triples than I want to say like 75% of the league. That's insane. That is as a team, they have out-tripled most of the league. They already have, I want to say, like 23 triples.
Just imagine if they could pull all that together, dude. They could honestly win some games.
They could. And that's the thing is that there's a lot. Like Adalberto Mondesi right now might not even be the best player on the team. He's just leading the league in a few categories. Whit Merrifield has had a really solid start to the year. He's got 56 hits. He's hitting about 290. He's got, I want to say, 10 stolen bases of his own with those 6 triples. And this is still not even talking about the development for the further development of guys like Hunter Dozier, who leads the team in batting average with a 303 average, or Jorge Soler, who's leading the team in home runs with 10. All that to say, I haven't even mentioned Alex Gordon yet, who is one of the few remaining pieces
from that
World Series team. And he has had a renaissance start to this year where he struggled to hit 230 the last few years. And here he is in late May, and he's hitting 292 with 8 home runs and 34 runs driven in. And he's been solid. He's as good defensively as he's always been. Mm-hmm. But he has enjoyed what could honestly maybe even turn up into an all-star appearance for him. 34 RBIs is near the top of the league in RBIs right now for the American League. So the Royals have got the lineup. I think what a lot of people that follow baseball forget when they see the Royals struggle, remember, this is also a team that is playing without Salvador Perez
Man,
because he tore his elbow up in spring training and he's out for the year. I have said, what could this Royals team be offensively if they had Salvador Perez in the lineup? And they'd be a lot better than they would be a lot closer to 500 right now than I think they are.
yeah,
So,
and we know how good of a team they can be. Like,
yeah, this is a team. This is a team with a lot of good young talent on it. The problem they have is the pitching staff. That's literally the problem they have, is that they don't have a great starting pitcher. They have a couple really good relievers, but that's about it. That's about it.
That's crazy. I think are y'all playing today right now? I think we're going against the Giants again.
We actually got rained out today, so we have a doubleheader with the Cardinals in St. Louis tomorrow.
Okay, so I think we're still going on. It's tied up at 1 in the top of the 6.
But I think regardless, I think that there's a lot of things to be excited about for both teams. You pointed out, Austin Riley is your player to watch. I'm going to point out one player to watch that I haven't even mentioned yet, and that is one of the Royals' top prospects who recently got called up, and he's been in the lineup every day ever since. And that's second baseman Nicky Lopez. I think that he is a kid that, he is a contact hitter in a power hitting era, and it's weird because that really shouldn't work. But so far, he has not looked overmatched at the plate at all. Like, so far, I've been very happy by what we've seen at the plate from him. Like, because he wasn't a player that was, they said, all right, we're going to start you. We're going to bat you 8th in the lineup. We're going to keep you down in the lineup. We're only going to get maybe 3 at-bats a game. No. His first game, they came out and they put him in the second spot in the lineup. They put him in the second spot in the lineup, and in 25 at-bats so far, he's hitting 320. That's pretty solid. Like, he's hitting 320. I want to say he's only got 8 hits right now. It's very, very small sample size. Very, very small sample size. But of those 8 hits, 3 of them are doubles. So he's got gap power. He's got good speed. He's an excellent fielder. Will he be an all-star like Adalberto Mondesi? No, probably not. But, there's a lot to be excited for as far as young players on this team and what they could be by the time the 2021 season kind of rolls around, which is the window in which they're expecting to be competitive again.
Yeah. Yeah, so like I said, they'll be back in competing, not too long. I think, you guys have a nice young team, so it's not impossible to get back to where you were 3 years ago. Well, 3.5 years.
Yeah, I agree. So if there is one thing about the Braves, Darius, that just irritates the piss out of you, like right now, it's decision-making, management, or player performance, what going through the rest of the season do you want to see change about the Braves? If anything.
Anything. And I know it kind of sounds weird, but I guess it's not even with us. It's the fact that our division, granted, yeah, we're good, but dealing with the Phillies is such a pain in the you know what.
Oh yeah,
because they have Reese Hoskins and Bryce Harper, and we're down, I think 3.5 or 4 games from them, which ain't that far, but it's I think I want to say they're projected to win, even though we won the championship last year for the NL East. Yeah. But like I said, it's kind of crazy. Just I sort of feel like the same with the Titans. What's their biggest deal outside of outside of the quarterback? It's the division. It's just that it's tough. That's
agreed.
Probably it. And of course, a lot of people, a lot of our fans complain about the pitching and how terrible the bullpen is, and how the management of the bullpen is. Which, hey.
No, trust me, I feel that. Let me tell you what I want. Let me tell you what needs to change for the Royals if they want this year to be any kind of productive. You saw me go on Twitter about this. Now you're going to hear me rant a little bit. So the Royals right now in their lineup have 3 hitters. One of them has to be there. He's the catcher. That's Martin Maldonado. Because Salvador Perez is hurt, you have to have someone out there playing catcher. Martin Maldonado is a good veteran presence. He's a good defensive catcher. I get why he's in the lineup. He's hitting 190 right now, but I at least get why he's in the lineup. You have 2 others that I cannot make any sense why they're in the lineup, and that is Billy Hamilton and Chris Owings. Chris Owings right now, for those who don't know, is hitting about 130.
Oh gosh,
That's freaking terrible. Like
that's terrible.
that's awful. That's 50 shades of awful. That is literally like the worst. Billy Hamilton is hitting 225, but he can't get on base. Excellent fielder out in center field, but he can't get on base. What's the point of him using this speed? What's the point of him being fast if he can't get on base? So the Royals, about a month ago, they brought up a third baseman prospect. That was Kelvin Gutierrez. And he came out and he played really, really well over 57 at bats. Hit 281, only one homer, but he's not really a power guy. He drove in 11 runs, though. He drove in a run in all but like 2 games that he played in. So he was productive. He's an excellent fielder, too. So you can imagine my frustration as a fan when instead of releasing Chris Owings, who plays that position, and keeping Kelvin Gutierrez, who is a young, potentially a really good young solid player for you, who could end up being a big part of your future, you send Kelvin Gutierrez back to the minors and you put Chris Owings back in the lineup. And you expect the offense to get better.
No.
That makes no sense. The year this is for the Royals, you have got to give this year to the young players. You give it to Mondesi. You give it to Nicky Lopez. You give it to Hunter Dozier, to Jorge Soler. Hell, give it to a guy like Richard Lovelady in the bullpen, or anybody or any other young players, Jake Newberry in the bullpen. Give it to these players in the bullpen that are young. Give them their chances to come out and make mistakes and learn from them. You're not going to win the World Series this year. There's no reason to act like you're going to be competitive when you're not. So, that being said, Dayton Moore, GM Dayton Moore, please get rid of Chris Owings. When the trade deadline comes, you better move Billy Hamilton, because Kelvin Gutierrez played well enough to deserve to be with this damn team right now. And instead, you've got him at AAA Omaha, where you are wasting a year of his career. Rant over.
Rant over.
Rant over. But no, like, honestly, what I would love to see different is just like Kelvin Gutierrez played really, really well. I don't understand why he was sent down. And the response was, oh, well, we needed more pitching. Well, you could also just trust your young players and let them make mistakes. Like, you're not going to be competitive. Leave Kelvin Gutierrez up and release Chris Owings, dude. He's not good. Like, he's terrible. Like, the only thing good he's done this year is in a game where we were getting our asses beat by the damn Texas Rangers. He came in and pitched an inning and 2/3 of scoreless relief because we were just getting our brains beaten in, like Game of Thrones style for any fans out there of Game of Thrones. Like, we were just getting destroyed, and they brought him out because they were out of pitchers. And it's like, that's the only good thing he's done this year. That's the only good thing he's done. And it's not even the position he plays. So, I don't know. I would love to see them give the year to the young players, let them develop. That's just me. I think the moment Salvador Perez got hurt in spring training, you kind of knew this year was going to be what it was going to be. So,
yeah, you don't want that happening with your key star guys.
Yeah, I mean, and you just got to give it like, let me pull Chris Owings' numbers up. Like, he's hitting 142. My bad. He's hitting 142. In his last 7 games, he's hitting 120. That's terrible.
Why?
Absolutely terrible. He has struck out 12 times in the last 7 games, has walked 0 times. Let's take it back a little bit further. In the last 15 games, he has struck out 23 times, has walked 1 time.
Goodness gracious.
Terrible, man. Terrible. If you're not going to walk, at least get hits. Get on base, damn it. Like,
yeah, you got to send that man back down to the minors, bro.
You just got to release him. He's not good. He's not good.
I tried to spare him, bro, but nah.
He is not good. Like, that is what I said. But that's my rant. I just want them to see them I just want them to give the year to the younger players. Let's see what we have. So, it is what it is. We got anything else we're missing, Dick? Oh, I guess we do have one more thing to talk about. So, it just became official a little while ago. Blues are going to the Stanley Cup Finals. You got Blues and you got Bruins, man. What's your prediction?
That's such a good matchup because I feel like the Blues are such like a fast team, but the Bruins have that experience, man. And if I had to pick, no, you know what? I don't want the Blues to win, but I think the Bruins may win.
I said I think it's going to be Bruins in 7. I think it's going to be a 7-game series. I will not be surprised though if
it's going to be 7.
The Blues this Blues team is playing about as good as they could be right now. They are a hot team right now. Jaden Schwartz has been incredible this postseason, and We all know how good Vladimir Tarasenko is. We know how good Jeff Bennington is. Like, we know how good these players are. Alex Pietrangelo, we know how good these guys. And then that's not even mentioning Ryan O'Reilly. I really like this Boston Bruins team, though. I love Tuukka Rask in net. I love Patrice Bergeron. I love David Pastrnak. I love these guys. I think this is going to be an excellent, excellent series. Far more competitive than last year's was. So I'm going to say, honestly, I'm going to say Bruins in 7. I think I'm going Bruins in 7.
Yeah, it's gonna be the style of two clashes coming together. So I agree. I think Bruins in 7. Yeah, I think that may win. It's just something. I don't know. It's just something like literally. And it's just the fact that Boston has literally won a title since 2010, all the way to 2019. So I mean, maybe it's just meant for Boston to win everything. Who knows?
They're a tough team to beat at home too. Boston is an incredibly tough team to beat at home.
It's just like Pittsburgh almost, if not better.
But that is about all we have got, Darius. Are we forgetting anything or no?
I don't think so. Well, I guess next time we can talk. I guess Titans, since OTAs are coming around and training camp and all that stuff.
Excited about that draft class they brought in because that was a good draft class. But with all that being said, I'm Rusty Ellis.
Darius Horton here.
And we are out. Peace.
Yeet. Oh, wait.
That's so ugly.
Okay, wait. All right, I'm finna end it on.